Yo, what's up? I'm Marcus, the debt free dad, where we're talking finances and attorney reactions. Hey, as always, I got to start out by showing and saying how grateful I am for everybody who's tuned in, who's subscribing, who's commenting, who's, just interacting with the channel. I'm definitely grateful and appreciative. And, thank you for supporting me. I definitely appreciate you all. In today's video, we're going to dive into the trustee board meeting that was not a trustee board meeting. And we're also going to talk about cooking with Tiff. Okay, those are going to be our two prime topics. But before we get to the meat and potatoes of cooking with Tiff and this trustee board meeting that didn't involve any trustees, and when we get there, it's going to be interesting because I really have to give Tiffany Henyard credit. She is very good at a few things. I mean, good things, a few things that are very good that we're going to talk about. But before we dive in, we definitely got to talk about a few other things that's been going on in the news, a few other things I want to talk about, but I just didn't want to put out one video about it, two videos about it at a time. It was just too much. So we're going to cover these things, then we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes. I got videos for everything. So we're gonna watch a couple of videos, 2 minutes. The Hinder stuff is a little bit longer, 8 minutes, but we're gonna dive into it as always. I gotta start out with a disclaimer. I'm a licensed attorney, licensed in several jurisdictions. None of those jurisdictions amount to me being your counselor at law. So essentially, if you're looking for professional, legal, financial advice, find a professional in your local area. And if you see something you like on the channel, you get some value out of it, I definitely invite you to hit the subscribe button, the like button, comment, dislike, whatever's your pleasure. Go ahead, hit it. It's all good. And I wanted to show y'all something too, because this is a painting that I've been trying to get for a very, very long time. But let's see who knows about this painting. Do y'all know this right here? Do y'all know who the artist is for this right here? I actually did a video on it. It was a short where Eddie Murphy was talking about a painting he has by this artist that is worth, I don't know, millions of dollars. And so it was pretty interesting. But that is a Ernie Barnes painting. The name of that painting is called The Advocate. I'm gonna go and show it. Now, if you aren't familiar with Ernie Barnes essentially is an ex NFL player. He graduated from an HBCU, and he is responsible for the paintings on Good Times. All the paintings you see with the black people dancing, they're doing all the wild poses, all the stuff JJ painted. The actual artist was Ernie Barnes, and he actually made this painting. The original sits in my law school, my alma mater, and I thought it was dope. It's called The Advocate. There's a brother in there aggressively studying, hitting the books, trying to learn the jurisprudence of the law. So I thought that was dope. And after all these years, I finally was able to get my hand on the duplicate. Not the original. Your boy ain't balling like that. But I'm definitely excited about that. And I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet. If I'm going to put it somewhere in the studio or I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but definitely dope. Now we're going to dive into I guess we got 3 stories before we get to cooking with Tiff in this trustee meeting. The first story is about Wells Fargo. Now, if you're new to the channel, I've investigated and assisted with the prosecution of numerous financial institutions for doing wrongdoings. And so there's some financial institutions that I just I just don't like them. They always doing some nonsense. One of them is Bank of America, and the other one is Wells Fargo. They always have some nonsense caught up in the news. And I had a story I wanted to do about a Bank of Wells Fargo. Sorry, Bank of America, y'all not on the hook. About a Wells Fargo lawsuit, and I kind of put it on the back burner until something interesting happened at a Wells Fargo that also goes to me not generally liking them as a financial institution. So first, let's take a look at what's going on at Wells Fargo, and it's interesting because it's actually tied up into a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We probably won't be saying those words for much longer because all that stuff is going to probably be gone and out of the window. But let's go ahead, cue up this video so we can see what's going on with Wells Fargo in this I don't know, kind of interesting lawsuit.
Wells Fargo is accused of interviewing Black and female candidates for positions that were already filled in an effort to satisfy a diversity policy.
Joe Bruno, a former executive in the wealth management division, told the New York Times employees were instructed to interview, quote, diverse candidates after the recipient of the job had already been identified.
He is one of 7 current and former Wells Fargo employees who say they were instructed by their direct supervisor or HR to conduct the fake interviews. 5 others say they were aware of the practice or helped arrange it. A spokesperson for Wells Fargo tells CBS they cannot corroborate the claims. In 2020, the bank's CEO, Charles Scharf, made headlines after he claimed the bank had trouble reaching diversity goals because there were not enough qualified minority candidates. The company also paid nearly $8 million to settle a claim by the Department of Labor that it had discriminated against more than 30,000 Black job applicants. In 2017, the banking giant settled a class action lawsuit with 320 of its Black financial advisors.
Can y'all see why I generally don't like Wells Fargo? They are, Wells Fargo always on some bullshit. Like the only time banking with Wells Fargo make any sense is if you got like over $100,000 in there and you have an official banker and they elevate you to a certain level. But generally, like Wells Fargo is always on some BS. Every lawsuit they settle is always bad. It's always something racist. Like I'm sure a lot of financial institutions have some racist tendencies, but Wells Fargo, they got, in my personal opinion, I feel like I see them on the litigation settlement block for nonsense the most. The next Wells Fargo story after this is even more ridiculous, but probably a little bit more entertaining.
Who sued the company for racial discrimination. The employees claimed they were corralled into poor neighborhoods and kept away from opportunities to advance. Wells Fargo paid nearly $36 million.
All right, joining us now to get into all of this is William M. Rogers III. William is the vice president and director of the Institute for Economic Equity, at the Federal Reserve Bank.
All right, we're not going to dive into everything. We got the gist of what's going on at Wells Fargo. And I'll tell you, this is actually not an uncommon practice. Where I went to law school at, it was like a little small, historically Black law school, nestled right in between 2 ginormous, like top tier schools. And so I remember after your first year, you bust your ass to make all of these good grades. Then they have all the big time law firms make their rounds to do interviews for summer candidates. And I mean, I bust my ass. I had some good grades. I'm showing up every day in my suit. And I mean, interview after interview after interview. Now, I ended up getting a really good job, but it wasn't like, no, I was trying to get one of them jobs at a big law. So as an intern, I could be making something like $2,500 a week, right? But of course, I didn't get one. But then it kind of hit me afterwards. I ended up clerking for like a federal judge my first summer, but it hit me afterwards. I was like, you know what? I feel like a lot of these law firms are just stopping here because it's in between the other 2 law schools that they really want to go to. So the next year when I had all these interviews, I just tried to entertain myself. I do that often. If it's something that I know, like, I'm not really too excited about, I'm not going to be upset. If anything, I'm going to make them uncomfortable. So I put on my black suit, I put on my kente cloth tie, and I went in that interview and I got real Afrocentric. I was like, hey, how many minorities do you plan on hiring? Yeah, but it's actually common. A lot of agencies will conduct interviews, or they'll hire interns, onboard interns that are minorities, so they can have minority numbers to qualify or meet whatever their diversity quota is. And they only had to give up a temporary position or a summer position as opposed to a full-time position. I just think, I don't know. I think Wells Fargo is just be on some bullshit. So generally, I'm not a fan. If I see any complaint, even though a complaint is just the allegation, it has to be proven in court. But I'm telling you, if I see any complaint where Wells Fargo is discriminating and not providing the same loans for qualified minorities versus, like, I'm generally going to believe it because I've just seen historically Wells Fargo has a terrible track record, and I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Like, honestly, do I have a bank? I honestly don't even think I have a bank where I could actually go inside. Like, all of my banks are like online. Like, I haven't been in a bank since like 2016, probably, or something, when I needed like cash to buy a used motorcycle. But we're gonna stay on Wells Fargo. Let me just shout out folks in the comments. Enrique, I don't understand why people do business with those banks. Yeah, any banks that's like charging you a fee for an account if you got less than $1,000 in there, they just got some dumbass archaic rules. But I also think that they just do bad business. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely not a fan. OCI is a show. Yeah. On campus interviews, they just go through it. They just go through OCI's on campus interviews, and they just go through the process. They might pick one person, like, unless if you're like a Harvard person, yeah, I might get a couple people. But if you go like to like a smaller lower tier law school like me, you might have one person to do. So it's kind of interesting, but what we saw there, I think, is common. Albert, what's going on? I appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate all the comments. Now, we're going to jump back on Wells Fargo because this actually made me even more upset than this previous story. Now, the complaint we just saw is probably a more serious and egregious complaint, but in the climate that we live in, I think diversity, equity, and inclusion is going to go away and be a thing of the past. But this story is actually wild. It's a little bit more entertaining, but I think it's actually more fucking ridiculous. Let me go ahead and cue this up. All right, let's go ahead and cue this up. This story is absolutely crazy, and it further solidified why I think Wells Fargo suck ass. And I don't even know how this fucking happened.
A Tempe Wells Fargo employee died at her desk. And 12 News is now confirming that it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice.
Did y'all hear that shit? Hey, condolences to that person's family. But how does it take 4 days to find an employee who died at her desk? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't even fathom how that would be possible if they had their office door closed. After 1 or 2 days, I'm sure people probably going to look for you. You didn't think to like just go and see if this person is in the office or see if there was any clues to their whereabouts. Then you open the door. I mean, this is actually even worse than the previous story because they're in the fucking building. You got coworkers. Nobody come looking for you. I don't know. Like, I wish I had. I don't know. And I haven't watched this full video. I heard about it. I haven't watched the full video, but it's actually kind of ridiculous. Let's go ahead and jump back in and get through the video.
Now confirming that it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. It's a story we first reported yesterday. Tonight, Tempe police are confirming the timeline of when the woman clocked in to when her colleagues found the body. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is in the studio with new details tonight. Gabby, 4 days. I mean, this poor woman went 4 days undiscovered. It's hard to believe.
And that's a question many employees are asking themselves tonight. I spoke with an employee who said that she shared her perspective on the workplace environment, and they say it's a big building, but most people don't work there on a daily basis. A Wells Fargo employee went to work the morning of Friday, August 16th, and never went home. Tempe police tell 12 News 60-year-old Denise Prudhomme scanned into work at 7 o'clock in the morning. 4 days later, police responded to the office building near Washington Street and Priest Drive for reports of a subject down. Prudhomme was declared dead. The Tempe Police Criminal Investigation Bureau is investigating, but do not suspect foul play. A Wells Fargo employee exclusively spoke with 12 News, but asked not to be recorded or identified out of fear for their job. They say a colleague found Prudhomme dead at her desk in a cubicle while walking around the building on Tuesday, August 20th. Prudhomme's cubicle was reportedly on the third floor and away from the main aisle. This employee says several people had smelled a foul odor, but passed it off as faulty plumbing. They say while most Wells Fargo employees at this Tempe location work remote, the building has 24/7 security, and someone should have found Prudhomme sooner. The incident left several employees feeling scared and uneasy. This employee wants to see new safety protocols in place, telling me, quote, "It's negligence in some part." A different worker also spoke with 12 News anonymously.
Was just uncomfortable.
Again, calling on the company to do more.
Body was there about 4 days before anybody found it, before anybody walked up to her and just to say hi, make sure she's okay. She was just laying on her desk.
A Wells Fargo spokesperson previously sent 12 News a statement saying, in part, "We are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of our colleague at our Tempe office," adding counselors through our employee assistance consulting service are available to support employees. An employee tells me their direct management offered those services, addressed the incident, and told workers the building was thoroughly cleaned.
All right, for me, that's actually fucking crazy. Like that, I mean, hey, it's terrible that this happened. It's terrible that this happened. Did they lock in the bank over the weekend? That was a good assumption. But even if, I don't know. Like, I can understand Friday if she was there, because I'm gonna assume if she passed, it was probably Friday afternoon after people had already left. There's no way. I mean, I don't know what your job is, but I can't sit in my job. I can't sit in my office for more than I maybe could get a good hour in every now and then before it's a call, before someone needs something or it's a meeting or something. So I don't know what her job title was, but I'm assuming the only way I can see this happen is she probably expired late Friday afternoon, maybe 3 o'clock. People leave early. So I get Friday, I get Saturday, I get Sunday. But come Monday, nobody was looking for her at all. It took them until Tuesday to find her after a smell that people even didn't think was a thing. They was like, "Oh, it's just the plumbing in this building." That's a crazy ass story to me. The stench didn't give them a clue. I actually Googled like how long does it take for decomposition to start, and the magic number was around 4 days. Yeah, her dog cat doesn't know how to use a phone. It's absolutely terrible. They said they had security in the building. But and the other thing too is like she was in a cubicle, yo. Like maybe if she was in the office, because some people go in their office and close their door and you just hear from them on Teams or whatever little chat feature they use in the office. But she had a cubicle. So you think people would walk by at some point in time. I worked at a bank and they had cameras everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. Like I can't tell if that was it. I'm assuming that it probably wasn't like, you know how some banks, they'll have an actual banking institution, but then they'll have like a corporate headquarters. I don't know. The story don't make fucking sense. Like I could get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but Monday shouldn't have went past without nobody. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. The fact that you can miss a whole day and nobody comes looking for you or wonder where you at, goes to your cubicle to check on you. That's an actually insane story that I was like, I just can't understand how that happened. You wonder why your loan didn't go through. Yeah. You wonder why your loan didn't go through. Yeah, man. You wonder why your loan didn't go through. You're probably waiting for like that loan to get that mortgage or get that house, and then it's just like that. That's isn't that condolences to her family. Is a big time systematic failure on the part of Wells Fargo, which further goes to my reasoning as why Wells Fargo suck. Now, this next story is interesting. We're going to talk about it. It's about child support. All right. Now, I don't know. Like, I can't relate to child support. Thank God. Thank God. Knock on my wooden desk. But this next story is child support because I'm really conflicted about child support. It's like a good and a bad thing. Like I can understand the rationale behind it, but a lot of times it's weaponized. And I'm gonna just be honest, fellas. Hey, I'm not a family law attorney, but hey, child support court is not the place for you. Fellas, you're probably gonna get hit over the head if you in child support court. But what are y'all thoughts on child support? Generally good, bad, indifferent, depends. I don't know. I'm not a family law attorney, never done family law, but early on in my career, when I used to be a public defender, and what happens is the Constitution affords you an attorney for anything that you could get jail time for. And one thing that you could get jail time for is being behind on your child support. So if a person is in child support court, they're in arrears, they owe back child support, they're not making payments, the court would appoint them to a public defender to actually represent them because they on the verge of getting their ass tossed in jail for not being able to pay their child support, which doesn't even make any sense. Like if I don't know, I've just seen so many bad child support situations where I've seen situations where someone is in arrears and they have back child support. They lost their job, they owe back child support. They get a job, now they're making their current child support payments, but they can't make any progress on what they owed during the time of unemployment, and the shit didn't go well for them. Like child support is one of those janky things where it just kind of depends. I actually did a video maybe about a year ago. If anybody is actually in that situation, there's a video I did on how to pay less child support. Now, that video isn't for people who want to cheat the system and be deadbeats, but it is improper for a person to pay more child support than what they actually should. So I did a video, and I'll probably link it after this live is over in the description box, but I did do a video on how to make sure you're paying the right amount and reduce your child support. Again, I gave a disclaimer in that video. That video isn't for deadbeats trying to avoid the system. That video is to make sure people are paying what they are obligated to pay and not more, because it's a travesty if you got to pay more child support than what you're supposed to. So let me see. It's my money, my choice. Right. I think it's good to support your children, but child support court sends most poor people to jail. I generally agree with that. Like I've seen situations where a father was actually paying the mother directly and not on child support, and out of frustration, she took him to child support, and actually the court ordered her to get less than what he was giving her before. So I'm just not a fan of family law because there's no laws to family law. Like everything else, if you look at a tax code, it's an actual book that says, if this, you do this. In this situation, you can do this, this, or this. If you look at any other type of law, when we went over the Freedom of Information Act stuff, you have to give it up unless this, or this. In family court, everything is so fucking discretionary. Like what's in the best interest of the child, what's fair, what's equitable. And the person who makes that determination is the judge. So child support court can be interesting, but I want y'all to check out this video. Let's see the length that this individual went to. You know what? Let's not even talk about it. Let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and pull this up. This was a wild story. 4 minutes, 5-minute video. Let's dive in.
Well, a man has spent nearly 7 years in prison for faking his own death by hacking into a death registry. So the Justice Department says Jesse Kempf now took information from a protected computer system without permission in a scheme devised partly to avoid paying child support. Kemp also used the stolen credentials to hack other state death registries, government, and court.
This dude hacked into a government system, a death registry, to fake his death to avoid paying child support. What is y'all very first thought? I'm gonna see if y'all think. I want to see who thinks exactly like me, because I when I heard this, I had a first thought that popped. I agree. That's fair. All men don't stand on business. That's completely fair. So there are instances where it's needed, but it's a high probability to be weaponized. too far. Faking. Hey, my first thought when I heard this, I'm like, damn, bro, you were smart enough to hack into a government's death database and fake your own death, but you weren't smart enough to figure out how to make more money to maybe catch up on your child support. Isn't that? I'm not a hacker. I probably should ask my son because that's a whole nother story. I think I'll tell it at another time. But I'm not a hacker, but it actually takes a certain level of skill, intelligence, savviness to be able to hack into any government system. So I'm just so confused that this dude hacked into a system to fake his death to avoid paying his child support. So now taxpayers will have to support his kids and pay for his prison stay. This isn't financially responsible. I know. I just don't. If you can hack into a government database, you can find a job doing something. So again, this is something I just dived in on. This is the first time I'm watching this video. I heard about it. It popped up on my feed, and I said, you know what? Let's pull a video up. Let's go ahead and finish up.
Also use the stolen credentials to hack other state death registries, government and corporate networks, as well as those of private businesses. And he pleaded guilty to computer fraud and aggravated identity theft. But Chief Legal Analyst Clive Rose joins us to be able to talk about this. I did some research on this. His child support was more than $100,000. Okay. He also completed a Hawaiian death certificate to be able to do all this. I mean, Khalid, this guy went to great lengths and now finds himself in a lot of trouble.
I've run into a lot of deadbeats over my time, but I guess they weren't doing it right. This is absolutely the best example of being a deadbeat that you could think of. I mean, He didn't want to just not pay. He just didn't want to owe it anymore. He wanted the computer to completely wipe
it out.
his name out of the system. I mean, how do you take a doctor's information, go in there, write your own cause of death, sign it as if you're the doctor, and then start, filing and then selling it to other people? So how he got caught was he was on the dark web actually attempting to sell access to this computer so other people could do the same thing. I mean, you can't make this up. This is extremely confusing. And the crazy part, it's not him being
I'm about to choke, man. I didn't, my bad. I know y'all like, we ain't here to see you drink water. Hey, that's crazy. I didn't watch the video, so I just kind of read about it, and I was like, oh, this will be interesting to talk about. But that's wild. He was on the dark web trying to sell his evil plan so other people can learn how to avoid child support. Yeah, this dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. But it also shows that, like, yo, $100,000, you definitely had a skill set where you can make some money. Like, the fact that you did all of that, like, just hacking the system itself, and actually, like, isn't that getting on the dark web actually takes a little savviness, because most times you got to do it by invite. He should have hacked his debt out. That's smart. Like, yeah, you could. It's a multitude of ways he could have approached this. Instead of faking his death, he could have erased the debt. That's what he could have hacked into a bank and gave himself some money to pay the debt. I mean, it was a lot of ways. I think he took the most complicated road. Hey, over here we condone abiding by the law, but there were a lot of other ways that he probably could have did that. That's hilarious. Yeah, if his child support was 100,000, he had to be making almost $1 million. Well, it depends, because like you can have two kids. You can have two kids, and if you go, like, I mean, some people don't pay child support like ever. They just want it forever. I've seen couples who were married. Couples would be married. They would get a divorce when the children are young. Husband never pays child support, and for one child, he run up a $80,000 arrears, and to settle it, he essentially signs over his interest in the home. So it's possible to run up $100,000. For one child would be probably difficult, but if you have a couple of children out there, I don't know if it was one child. Maybe they're gonna let us know. But this dude, that was a wild plan. I want to rewind that back a little bit if anybody just joined in. But that was wild.
Filing and then selling it to other people. So how he got caught was he was on the dark web actually attempting to sell access to this computer so other people could do the same thing. I mean, you can't make this up. This is extremely confusing. And the crazy part, it's not him being charged for faking his own death. It's him being charged because he accessed those government computers. That's the problem. You accessing government computers, and doing fraudulent activities, that will get you every time.
I mean, two separate things. You're right, because one, it's the crime, but two, it's also just being trifling. It's like when you think about it, it's like child support. How does your child feel that you're doing all this? That's one. But let's get to the actual crime itself.
Yeah,
I also
trifling.
did find out that when you look at the damage to the state death registry systems, including the $80,000 just to repair everything,
Yep.
I mean, those fees add up.
They add up. I mean, so obviously he'll have to, on top of his child support that he's not paying, he'll have to pay restitution to the state for the damage that he created. But I mean, there are folks out here that will try to do anything to avoid taking care of their responsibility. I mean, and so whatever the amount was, $100,000, over time, it wasn't $100,000 lump sum, and now you'll be removed from society for 6-7 years. That's a problem. I mean, all you had to do was pay.
Right.
And even if you didn't pay, there was a lengthy process to avoid paying, going to court, being hauled in, showing up for show calls. I mean, there were a number of processes that he could have went. Not this route. This route, when you're accessing government computers, you can guarantee they're going to lay the law down on you heavy, because you don't want to show that we're light on crime. And in situations like this, we want to show a deterrent. Anytime you're talking about the criminal justice system, it's like that rehabilitative part that we talk about. Want to rehabilitate the criminal, but we also want to deter future actions like this from happening again. Well, how do you deter someone from trying to hack into a system? Slamming a 7-year sentence on someone that doesn't would be a quick way to deter. And say, when you're Googling how to access these computers, his story pops up as one of the main things to say, yep, I'm not doing that.
But it also makes you think, for somebody to have that kind of intelligence, there's so many other things you can do to be able to get money to pay your child support.
Definitely not using his brain to its full capacity, because if you can hack a computer, I wouldn't even know where to start. And I feel like I'm extremely intelligent, but this guy figured out how to get on the system,
government
and fake his own death. I mean, by all means, probably one of the top dumbest crimes I've seen.
Pretty much.
There's a lot of ways that you can go to prison. This is not one of them. I mean, for sure.
I also have to emphasize, though, this is also a big reminder of how damaging criminals with computers can actually be, because there is a lot of fallout from this, a lot of information that now is out there, a lot of concern, right?
But what I can also tell you is that anytime you do these types of crimes, just like with my criminal cases that I have, you leave breadcrumbs behind. And so when you access this computer, your digital fingerprint will be all over that. And so they just work backwards. I mean, even if you attempt to reroute your way you got in by using multiple VPNs, he got caught because he's using actual living doctor's information, and using that living doctor's information, they were like, wait, this isn't you, because you're in Hawaii. This other doctor's on the East Coast.
Right.
Something's not working out. And so even if you think you're the smartest person in the room, most of the time they got folks that are doing this for a living that try to catch you. And so, well, the one thing about technology is once the criminals figure out how to do something, law enforcement is right behind them.
Right.
And so I am glad that they caught him, because now, like you mentioned, that child hopefully will get some type of payment once this guy's out of jail.
We also think, too, of the crime.
Man, that's how they gonna get that.
They don't see your daddy,
that
right?
Somehow that part is accurate.
All right, College Rose, appreciate it.
That's crazy as hell. That story crazy as hell. I mean, I don't know. I do think you're right there. I think it was definitely probably back paid, how it ran up to $100,000. I don't think this guy was like a multi-millionaire. It just probably was back paid. It just accumulated over time. Let's see, Mr. Warbucks. Most men worry more about the quality of the woman that the woman is getting rather than paying it. Yeah, I see that too. Because I don't know, like, child support is just a tough thing. Like, especially like and then it gets complicated if like you got a child with a woman who has multiple children and you're sending money to her for your child, and it's getting split amongst other kids that aren't your children. Like, and I could see why that would be upsetting if it were me. I'd be like, oh, hell nah. Like, I'll be honest, like, no, if I had a child with a woman and she had multiple kids with somebody else, my child support presumably is for my child, not all them other kids. Why? But I see that all the time. The responsible father is the one who kind of gets beat over the head because the other ones may not be responsible. Child support is a sticky situation. I just I don't know. Like, I'm just grateful that I'm not in that situation. Again, I did do a video on how to decrease your child support, not for deadbeats trying to avoid it, but for people to make sure that they're actually paying what they're required to pay under the law and not anything more. He was a criminal genius and an idiot. It's like maybe when he get out of jail, the child could get some child support. Bruh, go off for 7 years. That's absolutely insane. Yeah, but still no excuse not to handle your business. Yeah. Like I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like it's some things that child support that's wild. Like I always tell the story. I told it before this channel. Like I can remember when I was younger, and my parents got divorced. And my father was like, man, no, if you need money, I just pay you some money. I'm not going down there to the courthouse to pay my money to the white man. Now, this is where it get funny. My father was a big rig truck driver, and my mother ended up going through putting him on child support. He would give her money, but she was like, no, I don't know if she wanted more, whatever the situation was, but she put him on child support. As soon as that notice came to his house, he was like, well, guess I got to go down to the courthouse and pay the white man. Because they would take your license. Like, how crazy is that? If a person is a truck driver and they're paying something, let's say your child support was $700 a month, but you're paying $400 a month. That arrears and back pay can get so large that now they're like, oh, your arrears are so large and you can't pay, you're only paying partial on it. Like I've seen people who were truck drivers like get their license suspended for back child support. Now they actually can't go to work. It's a weird ass system. I just don't understand it. I do agree that, hey, you should take care of your responsibilities. Nobody should probably have to fucking force you to do it, but it's just a wild situation. Yeah. It shows that your personal information is not safe with the child support people. I agree with that 100%. Just be careful who you have kids with. That's one of the most important things that you can do. Who you marry and who you decide to have children with are probably the biggest financial decisions that you'll ever make. I told my son, I was like, yes, stage 1 is complete. And he was like, what is stage 1? I was like, you graduated high school. You don't have a criminal record. You don't have no kids. You're in college and you pick the actual major that's a lucrative major. That's stage 1. He was like, what's stage 2? I was like, all those other things, but you graduate with that degree. Like, I was like, all those other things. So that is definitely important if you want to give yourself a shot. Now we about to get into it, and I'm trying to think what order should we watch this video? Because I ain't gonna lie, like Cooking with Tiff was kind of fire. Like I actually watched that whole thing. It was like 8 minutes. I was like, oh man, let me see it was actually pretty good. Okay, let's start with the 8-minute news clip about the township meeting that actually went nowhere. But I think it was productive. We're going to talk about it. I saw a video where I could go through the whole thing, but I was like, I'm just going to be honest. I can't watch 45 minutes to an hour of just Tiffany Henyard. So I just found a truncated video. We're going to go through this video and hey, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, the weird stuff. I actually think that this was probably a little bit more good for her than bad. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let's dive in.
In the absence of the township's 5 sitting trustees, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard's attempt at a special meeting was more of a soliloquy.
I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments. There will be anything. It'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on in Thorpe Township.
When can we address you?
Henyard called Wednesday's special meeting, she said, in response to a series of ordinances the village's board passed last week, including one to manage event spending. Speaking at that August 20th meeting, Trustee Chris Gonzalez said,
Or the administration can adhere to some financial limits. We're not looking to necessarily cut stuff out.
With that ordinance passed, Henyard claims township services abruptly ground to a halt.
They was not able to get certain services, whether it was gift cards for a big deal.
A little bit. I do.
Not able to even buy ice cream for the seniors.
Last week's meeting also addressed the issue of township credit cards. Trustees moved to put a township credit card in Henyard's name for accountability.
We need to put some safeguards in place to regulate what's spent on the credit card.
I'm not on a credit card. I do not deal with money.
Earlier this month, former Mayor Lori Lightfoot revealed the village of Dalton, where Henyard also serves as the mayor, racked up hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card purchases after Henyard's critics walked out Wednesday night. One Thornton Township resident who remains says she still has faith in her supervisor.
She's really trying to
really help people. Whereas the trustees, I don't know what they're doing. Why didn't they show up?
Tiffany Henyard, who is also the mayor in nearby Dalton, is part of multiple lawsuits and a federal investigation. Mayor in near
Back
Trustees, I
up
don't
real
know.
quick.
her
Hold on.
supervisor.
This is actually kind of wild, right? No matter what we see, Enrique, your boy do know how to make meatloaf. My guy Wolverine out on here, but Wolverine, no, I be cooking up all sorts of stuff, and I like to take pictures. Like I'm a cook. I don't like cleaning up a lot of shit, but when it comes to cooking, I'm pretty good. But we're gonna talk about it. We're not gonna watch the whole Cooking with Tiff video, but cooking with cooking with a hood rat. But I thought this was interesting because this lady who appeared on here, when the order I watched it was I watched this video, and in this video we're gonna see the lady pop up on the TV, and she's gonna talk about like where the trustees at, and but she actually sound like a Tiffany Henyard supporter. And my first thought was like, yo, how could people with eyes in their damn cabeza actually like still support this woman? But I'll give her credit, and I said this before, she's actually pretty good at marketing to a certain audience.
She's really trying to really help people.
Okay, now this is the demographic that she's targeting right here. I don't know. This woman is an older woman. Older people vote at a higher rate more than anybody else. I think all of the stuff like cooking with the hood rat and having all of the free programs and bingo nights, all of that stuff is actually targeting this audience. And I think that's these people, when it comes to the spending, they don't immediately see how all of the excessive spending is going to screw them over in the long run. The only thing that they see essentially is what she's actually doing in the community. And again, it's a great marketing tool. It's actually smart to target the population who is going to go out and vote. So it is actually kind of interesting. And it goes to show that she's not that bright, Tiffany Henyard, but she's not a complete idiot either. I'm like, hey, gotta give her some credit.
As a trustee, I don't know what they're doing. Why didn't they show up?
Tiffany Henyard, who is also the mayor in nearby Dalton, is part of multiple lawsuits and a federal investigation.
It's all the bingo prizes.
You cut it up, chop it up, adding this in it, putting this in it to make it sell for what you want it for.
Shout out to Reality Check TV Chicago, because he actually finds a way to get in and record all of these things and stream them live and put all the footage so guys like myself and other YouTubers can react to it. So shout out to him. If y'all want to do a deep dive into this tomfoolery, y'all make sure to go check out Reality Check TV Chicago.
To make it sell for what you want it for. That's not what we do here at Thorn Township. It's like all this I'm saying right here. Pretty sure you're going to cut it, chop it, and make a segment, and that's what they're going to put on the news. I guarantee you. I just want to show the people that we care about them. There is more to the story than what you see. For those that know me personally or know me, because I grew here, remember everybody else flew here, y'all know that I'm rooted in the community. Like literally grew up in the village of Dawson. That's why I stayed in that fire over there, because I ran and I won as a trustee in 2013. I've been a trustee for 2 terms, won both my seats back to back. Then after that, I ran for mayor, won that by 82% that they hate on, landslide. So that means y'all wanted to change. That's what all the hate is all about. It's all about.
I actually think this was good for her. I know that sounds crazy to say. It was all the bingo prizes. Hey, people are voting their interest. And if your interest is bingo prizes and cooking meatloaf and seeing someone who's out forward facing in the community, it's going to be some people who buy that shit. I mean, it is what it is. And if she wins a re-election, that's crazy. But the village would deserve exactly what she get. Let's see how good she's going to be at marketing to the feds. Not so much, but to voters, all she got what she does is just keep yelling, "Hey, it's fake news. They hating. I'm out here in these streets," and people are going to buy it. I overall think that this was actually beneficial for her, because what'll happen is if the rest of the trustees were there, they just gonna put their foot on her throat. They gonna just put their foot on her throat constantly. The fact that it was nobody there but the clerk and her attorney. I don't even know why her attorney was there, but he was probably getting like $350, $400 an hour just to sit there. His look is wild too. He just looked like he don't even really want to be there. But generally, normally most things go bad for Tiffany Henyard, but I think this was actually a good outcome for her. It gave her an actual forum and platform where she could talk. Like, everybody who don't fuck with her got up and left. If everybody would have stayed and they would have been in there just grilling her, shooting questions at her, it would have been a complete and utter debacle. But the fact that they got out and left, she actually just had an opportunity to just sit there and talk, even though it's only like 4 people in that motherfucker. Even though it's only like 4 people there, I think all in all, it was probably a positive thing for her. It was a campaign speech. That's exactly what it was. You're right, 100%. But hey, some people fall for the old smoke and mirrors, banana in the tailpipe.
Your Superman became too popular too quick. I did not go through the boys club. I am not your status quo. I'm so rare, so unique, and that's why everybody got problems. It's all about control. And I stand in the fight because I want the boys and girls of the next generation to see what it looks like to come out of controversy, and to come out of all the hatred.
And
Wow. Because at the end of the day, only God can fix this. Because right now we are fighting a spiritual battle, whether y'all believe it or not. We are. It's a lot of.
Hey, what do old people love more than bingo? Jesus. like she is hitting all the points. I was just, normally when these shits go bad, we sit here and talk about it. But I actually think that this is probably one of the more positive things, one of the more positive pieces of news that she had probably in the past year. Now, at the end of the day, with regard to her criminal matters, this ain't going to help at all. But with regard to her being able to potentially sway some votes from an older population, I think it was probably a good thing, man. That's my thing. Yeah. That's the same thing I said. His face is just kind of like, bro, I don't even know why I'm here. I'm just here to get this 1 hour worth of fees and keep it pushing on to the next one. She'll be in jail before the next election. I agree with that too. I'm gonna do a poll. The next video, well, maybe not the next video. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Saturday if I do a video, because I don't know if I'm gonna jump on tomorrow. But I'm gonna do it. We're gonna start a little pool. We're gonna look from now until the election date, and I'm gonna just be like, yo, leave it. I'm gonna let y'all know. But what I'm thinking is we're gonna do like a giveaway, a gift card or something, whatever. I put all the disclaimers in there. It must be a U.S. citizen, all of that good stuff. And I'm gonna find a specific video and just have people. You got to leave a month and a day in there. It's gonna be from now until February during election time. And the person who gets the close, like the 3 people who get the closest, will get something. That'll be kind of dope. But I mean, yeah, I agree. I think before election time, she's going to get a criminal indictment.
Demons, and you saw half the demons got up and left, and everybody that really wanted to hear another story.
She actually make a good point too. Is really not a good point, but I don't know if they're going to play it. But I think it was a point that she made about the budget, how she's trying to get a budget passed, and the trustees continue not to pass the budget because, again, like, hey. I got to call out stupid, but if you make a good talking point, regardless of any criminal exposure you may have, you make a good talking point. And she ties it in. Hey, I'm trying to pass this budget. They aren't passing the budget. And without the budget, we are going to lose essential programs.
But everybody kind of band together when it's something hateful. It said that fake news and negative news travel faster than anything positive. I never seen nothing like it. And I am the first to go through a big old smear campaign like this. I never made the news every single day, every news cycle. Gosh, how much money do y'all make off me? I just wonder. This is all clickbait. I've never seen it in my life. But yet I'm going through it, but I'm still standing 10 toes down, ladies. I'm not gonna
10
give
toes
up.
down.
I'm not gonna alter. I'm not gonna stray from
You mad
my
hood.
vision. I'm not gonna leave my assignment that God has placed me on. I'm going to complete it no matter what. At the end of the day, y'all didn't notice, we have, what is it called? The picnic this evening. We're supposed to have. Not this evening. So I'm just giving you the examples of the things that's going on that you're not paying attention to. So what does that mean? Do I not still provide for you residents? Do I not have a picnic now because the board didn't come and vote for a picnic that we have every?
People love the people love the things that they can see that they're getting right in front of them, because the tens of hundreds of millions of dollars that's being misappropriated, nobody's seeing that shit right now. It's not affecting them. All they see is bingo. They see programs where they giving out food boxes, what she spent off and finessed into the Cooking with Tiff video. I mean, hey, I don't want to make this a praise Tiffany Henyard session because she's probably terrible. I don't want her to be my mayor, but we got enough problems over here in DC with our council members anyway. But I mean, like, this is actually a positive for her. Let's see if she gets to the part where she talks about the budget. I thought that was a good point that she made, but she's talking about everything that she does in the community because people can actually see her. She's not sitting in the ivory tower.
Every single year, like clockwork. What do we do? And that's what I love about what we do here in Thornton Township. They keep getting overshadowed with negativity. We all about caring. We all about uplifting. That's why y'all see me still walking, still talking, still positive, still with my head held high.
I agree.
Because I don't know that world of, oh, you defeated, oh, they doing this. Brush that off and keep going. And that's my message to anyone, anybody that wants to get in politics, that's trying to grow in a management position, and wherever you work at, news anchors, I know y'all go for it too, because there's a lot of sexism that goes on that you don't get roles and parts, or can be the anchor, all that goes on, but nobody talks about it, nobody. But I'm okay with talking about it, because I'm not beholden to nobody. So all I'm saying to you is, you have to stand for something, fall for it all. And that's why y'all see me constantly standing. That's why you see me giving my speech this evening, and why I want you guys to know what was going on. What else I want to tell y'all about? But I just want to end with this. I'm thankful for my community. I'm thankful for my residents that support me, love on me, send me emails, send me texts. I love all that about you guys for just keeping your super mayor grounded. Thank y'all, because it's tough. Yes, it is. But at the end of the day, God gives the test to his strongest soldiers. I'll give you more than you can bear.
They gotta play the black. She did everything. She playing the community black card because it's a mostly African American town. she talked about, at some point she talked about women, and I watched the longer version when she talked about women who are underpaid. And I mean, she hit all of these key demographic areas where she trying to finesse. So, like, hey, despite her many flaws, not a complete idiot. This would be wild. I think she's going to get off free. She took the Trump masterclass and got herself a scapegoat. I don't know. Like, I don't know if she got that type of pull and that type of power. Like, that's like apples to oranges. That's a comparison that I can't even rationalize. Like, nah. Trump, nothing gonna happen to him. Oh, if he win, we're gonna see all these charges magically disappear. Like, it is what it is. That's what happens when you got power, money, and resources. Her, nah. If she skates on this, I would be fucking shocked. It would be it would be an absolute. I can't see it happening. I'm stuttering this shit. I can't see it happening. I just don't think that they're gonna give a pass to someone who's doing something this egregious, who hasn't reached what I consider the upper echelon of prestige, power. And I'm gonna just keep it a buck. She's the wrong hue. Like, nah, you don't normally get over when you don't got that type of power, that type of money, that type of pull. And I don't know, like that. I'd be shocked. It might happen, but I just can't see it happening. Yeah, can't get right just once to give you the facts. It's all clickbait. Yep, I agree. Let's check out these comments here. Effect is a cognitive bias in which people who with limited competence in a particular domain overestimate their abilities. Yeah, that's a real thing. That's a really good point, Donald. I agree with that. Is a thin line between competence and blind ignorance. is a very thin line. Like but the thing is, the other thing is though, that even though that's true, the problem is some people perceive blind ignorance as confidence, even though it's not. You see what I'm saying? So like you could you have a person who's confident, a person who's blind and cannot navigate the environmental terrain with which they operate. They just do shit and pray shit that doesn't happen. But some people see that as actual confidence, like, oh look, they're taking risk, even though the real thing is like, no, they're not aware of the risk, they don't see the risk, or they're just fucking annoying the risk. So, but I do agree with that statement. I do agree with that statement for sure. Even Kamal got a headache listening to her. God bless her, co-parent and child. I can only imagine what it's like dealing with her on the day to day. That shit. I don't know. She probably did she like hook her baby father up with a job or something like that? I don't know. Am I making that up with another person? I might be making that up with some other mayor or some shit. Yeah. Their co-parent and kid won't have to deal with her much longer. I agree. I'm catching up with the deceased getting paid for being at work 4 days. Yeah, 4 days is batshit crazy. Shout out to Wells Fargo. I wouldn't recommend banking with them. This ain't no sponsorship video, but I don't rock with them. Have you seen her lawyer now throwing all the blame? Yeah, we did that video the other day. And once her lawyer starts throwing the blame, he's throwing the blame because he knows that somebody else is throwing the blame to the feds. And they was like, oh, Keith didn't, he said he's cooperating with the township board, the trustees, but not the feds. We did a video, informants versus whistleblower. Who the fuck works for the feds and giving the feds information and go out there and broadcast it? That would be absolutely stupid to do. That'd be absolutely insane to do. Some people might, but I think that would be crazy.
And that's the purpose of the test, so you can have the testimony later.
She talk about testimony. She doing like, yo, if I was a politician and I got caught up in something, I'm immediately gonna throw on some dashiki and I'm gonna put on some kente cloth and I'm gonna make the circus. I'm gonna be around at the local. They all do it. The former attorney general in Baltimore, what's the sister's name? Marilyn Mosby. After she caught her conviction, she was making the runs at all the church circuits, talking about fight with me and is the devil. And in actuality, you the one who stole PPP money.
So his strongest soldiers, I'll give you more than you can bear. And that's the purpose of the test, so you can have the testimony later. There's no testimony without the test. And you have to go
no testimony without the test.
And you have to go through the storm.
These are some good
but you got to keep your eye
Baptist
ahead and not on the storm, because sometimes you caught in the storm, you take your eye off God. So I try to encourage people to keep going, keep moving, don't give up. It's light at the end of the tunnel. I try to tell people to have tunnel vision, just like those horses. I don't know if y'all into horse races or nothing. They got them blinders on the side so they can't look left or right, so they can't get distracted and run a race. It's the same concept. Y'all have to do the same. And for anybody that's in any other type of, whether it's form of government or management, keep fighting, keep going, especially to the ladies, because I know y'all get overlooked and underpaid a lot of the times, and you suffer silence. I get that. And today your day, you gotta fight back. You gotta say something. You cannot just take. Last I want to announce Cooking with Tiff. I know I kind of hit on that earlier. Cooking with Tiff due every this evening at 7 p.m. We will put it on our Facebook channel and on our website. Miss Christy, she's in the back. She's one of our residents. She's a singer. She did her first episode with Cooking with Tiff.
You ain't gonna clap for Miss Christy.
Go online and sign up to be a guest. And you too can be a resident. We got another resident. I ain't gonna bust you out yet. She was next on the show. So we got a lot of residents that actually been filmed already. And we made it. What we made? What we made?
Look at that smile. that look right there. That's the look of a What do they call him? A straight snake oil salesman. Yo, that look right there. That smile. I should have made that the thumbnail. That shit look sketch. That's the look of a straight snake oil salesman right there. That smile right there. I don't know. Like, hey, that shit look like somebody who about to fuck you over.
She was next on the show, so we got a lot of residents that actually been filmed already. And we made what we made? Burgers. Okay, I have to make sure.
Did y'all catch that? Catch this part of the conversation on the back end. All right, so these persons outside of the brother with the hat, the women right here, the lady with her hands in her pocket, those are the actual news media when we did the video about the FOIA request. You're gonna hear one of them. I don't know if y'all could catch that, but one of them is gonna ask for information, and they're gonna say something about a FOIA, and you're gonna hear Henyard's response. She was like, "FOIA? What FOIA? I don't do FOIA." So they're still trying to do requests to get information. Unfortunately, for every request, they're probably gonna have to go to court. But just listen, see if y'all can catch this.
Hey,
I don't do FOIA.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That's an interesting. That was an interesting video. Let me go ahead and hit up these comments. State court, maybe not the feds. Yeah, 85% conviction rate. They gonna nail it to the cross. Like I would be fucking shocked if nothing comes from this. I just can't see that happen. Yeah, child support system is a joke. Poor kids. Yeah, it is needed because some people don't do the right thing, but it's just abuse on both sides. It's abused on both sides by like the person requesting it can abuse it. The court can abuse it. The judge cannot give a damn. The person who required to pay it could be a loser and try to fake their own death. Is a lot of factors in it. I think it. I don't know. It's a weird system. We could talk about that shit all day. Yeah. Oh, okay. Her daughter's father is a philanthropist here. He's married to Tia on Fox News. Okay, nice. Good for him. He dodged a bullet. Yeah. I think the feds are guiding the board now, and that's why they didn't show. Yeah, that could be it too. They could have been advised to. Now her lawyer is blaming all of her spending on Keith Freeman, saying she didn't know what she couldn't do, and told her to do all that spending, especially with the new credit card charges. I don't know. It's just that shit isn't going to work because what she just talked about in that video. She talked about her coming up by actually being on the board of trustees for 8 years before becoming mayor. Like, you being on the board of trustees, you know how this shit works. You saw it before. You saw other mayors before you, how they operated. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be a shit argument. Yeah, she said everything but one nation under a group. That's funny. Yeah, I get tired of hearing bubble-eyed voice. Yeah, hey, I'm just saying. I think this was probably the best. I think this was probably the best outing. I think this was probably the best outing that she has had in a long time. Let me see. How can I do this? And I want to just show y'all the beginning. And I'm gonna tell y'all too, her meatloaf looked like trash. but maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm not like a meatloaf connoisseur. Meatloaf is on like the low list of shit that I'm gonna cook. But let me see how I can get this up. I'm gonna show y'all what is actually fucking smart here with cooking with Tiff. Let's go ahead and take a look at cooking with Tiff. We gonna take a quick look at this intro, and again, remember, she talks about the things that she does well. What are the things that she does well? Is her interactions with people. She's not in the ivory tower. She puts herself in position in places where public could be. She gonna make sure bingo night slap. She gonna have them fire bingo prizes. She gonna make sure that they have fundraisers, book bag giveaways, probably free haircuts, go-kart rides, free hot dogs, hamburger. All of that shit is probably amount to the lowest amount of the money spent on those credit cards. But she gonna make sure all of that's done. And a lot of people, because they don't feel the impact of her spending right now, like, yo, y'all saying she's spending all this stuff and using all this money, but every time I see her, she out in these streets. And so, you know, it's something that she has. And I think they didn't show it in that video, but at one point if you look at the larger portion of the video, give me 1 second. At one point, she says something like, I've been trying to pass a budget, but we can't even get a budget pass. And yes, the trustees don't want to pass the budget because they don't want to give her a new blank check, essentially. So I understand what they're doing. But she couched it in a way that if you're uninformed, you would be like, oh, that makes sense. Her point was, I'm trying to pass a budget so we can continue to have these programs, the food box program, providing all of these things. And without a budget, we can't do that. They're the ones who don't want to do it. So she did a good job at shifting the blame for somebody who is uninformed and probably ignorant of what's really going on. And I wouldn't even say ignorant. I would say, you know, some people just like, yeah, I don't know. There are always going to be some people who support someone who's a crook. Yeah, y'all see, trust me. I think I'm going to do a video. I'm going to dive back in DC because we had 2 more people, one in DC and one in the neighboring county who were convicted of federal crimes. Yeah. She was a council member for 8 years, so she know how it works. Nobody falling for that. I'm unaware of this. Yeah, she ran up a bag on both of them. It is absolutely insane. Yeah. Another thing she does well is know how to dress down and do it without professional makeup. Yeah. Now, if she going somewhere, she gonna be getting out of the high grade $100,000 Tahoe with the chinchilla coat on and the Ray-Bans. But when she's interacting with the public, she keep it plain Jane. A pair of jeans, plain Jane face, no makeup, a T-shirt that says like Village of Dalton, Village of Dalton. She does some things that are relatively good. Yeah. You don't like hood rap meatloaf? Nah, that meatloaf, I don't know. Grandma meatloaf looked like it slapped. Her meatloaf, I was like, I don't know. But the beginning was important. Listen to what she said at the beginning. I thought this ties into what she does well. Again, none of this shit is going to have any bearing on your criminal culpability or exposure, but it goes into what she does well. And I think we're going to be shocked if an election actually occurs and there's no indictment prior to election. I would be shocked if she wins, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was actually a close race.
Tiffany Henyard, the People's Supervisor. I will be coming to you once a month along with a special guest resident to show you how to prepare different foods that you can make using the ingredients provided in Thornton Township food boxes. Food boxes are available here at Thornton Township. Don't forget to register. I love this. Cookie with Tiff.
That is hilarious. That little segue. That's hilarious. But yo, think about how smart that is. Do a cooking show. We're gonna do it. It is actually great fucking marketing. We gotta give her credit where credit is due. They have a food pantry. They do it every 4th Sunday or Friday. People get it, and they probably just making, like, hey, like, what can we do to put it out there that we got this food box? This is actually a good fucking idea. absent all of the stealing, absent all of the illegal conduct, I actually think this is an actual good idea. If if I had a mayor who wasn't a criminal or alleged criminal and they did something like this to get a program out there, I would think, oh man, that's actually a pretty dope idea. It's like you're getting involved with the community, you're letting them know about this program, they can register for it, how often it happens. You're bringing in a sweet old Mima on the stage to cook. I mean, people are gonna love that shit and eat it up. That's my thought. Hood rat meatloaf. Nah, she had too much shit going on in there. A budget hasn't been passed with Dalton either. But how can you do a budget if you don't know the true amount of accounts? That's a fair point. But I mean, that's a fair point. Townships operate in the negative with their budget all the time. So I think they're doing the smart thing by not passing the budget at this point. They just, I mean, we see the federal government all the time. They won't pass a budget. They'll just do a CR. Like, we're not going to pass a budget. We're going to do a continuing resolution to operate for another 3 months and keep kicking the can down the road. Like, that's what I would do. If I was the board, I would be like, okay, we want a budget. We're going to give you a budget that will cover from now until February. And that budget will be thin as fuck. You wouldn't have no luxuries in there. But I definitely think that's a good point. She keeps the good mic first. It turns out everyone else. Yeah, I did peep that. Somebody left that in the comments and I didn't believe it until I actually sat back and listened. She has a fragile police department, ghost staff, no annual reports, no audits, more lawsuits than the courthouse, frozen bank accounts due to unpaid settlements, firefighters going without insurance. The city is an absolute shit show. It's an actual embarrassment. I actually agree with all of that. But we saw a woman on TV talking about, why aren't the board members here? She's trying to do something for the community. There are going to be people out there, despite everything that you put right in front of them, are going to be like, not my candidate. It happens on all sides at all levels. That's just kind of how the game goes. Yeah. Can't you get in trouble for conning a senior citizen? Yeah, you can. They have like it has to be something like real legit though. Like, it's not like, yo, making sure the bingo game every Wednesday is fire with nice prizes isn't gonna rise to that level. And because most states, they call them like vulnerable adults, and vulnerable adults are senior citizens, persons with cognitive disabilities, or they'll say vulnerable populations, and they can also throw children in that category as well. But normally, the criminal exposure you would see from dealing with vulnerable adults, it would be something like some type of fraud where you finesse them out of their money, or misappropriation of their funds because you have access to their bank account. So the normal one you'll see is someone in a senior citizen home who don't have any family. They have access to their money, but the staff actually uses their card. That's kind of the normal situation you would see. They shut down their podcast, so she found another avenue to get in front of the counter. The seniors who support are so gullible. Those are the seniors are targeted for fraud schemes at a rate higher than anybody else. Who is paying for the editing for these videos? It's probably was included in that $3,500 that went to her photographer. Like, I doubt it would be good since it's all expired food. The irritating part is that her name is on everything instead of saying Thornton Township or Dalton Presents. For example, everything is all about her name and face on everything. Who else did that? Yeah, y'all remember when President Trump passed out those checks during the pandemic? Like, when he passed out those checks, like, hey, everybody getting a stimulus check, he went to the Secretary of Treasury and was like, I don't care what you say. I want my name on the actual fucking check because I want them to know that this shit came from me. So, I mean, again, that's a part of marketing. My name is always in the public. People are going to get used to hearing it. And they've actually did a study. I did a lot of shit, but I used to work in politics for at the state level. And they actually did studies where name placement on a ballot coincides with people getting a certain percentage of votes, because a lot of times people may not know the candidates, so the person who's first normally gets more votes. Like if someone put a ballot in front of someone who didn't know anybody, they normally fill out what's first. So people always fighting to try to get named first, like, oh, I want to be first on the ballot. It's so many finessing, but she just stole the page out of Trump's playbook. Like, yo, I want to make sure everything is has my name on it, because anything that I do for you all, I want you all to know that it came from me. That's an old school play, and it's not a dumb play, actually. Not a dumb play considering what we got going on. Can't get right is avoidable. This is true. All right, let's so I definitely think that the talking about the food boxes, I can't see the food boxes being expired, because those old people will bitch about that. Like stuff like that, you got to make sure that shit is on the up and up. If the only thing you're doing right is presenting to the public, you have to make sure that shit is on the up and up. So that shit probably like grade A premium ground chuck.
Finally, I am here with Miss Christie, and we are about to make pilaf. The reason
that music
for the show is to showcase residents throughout Thornton Township and show everybody how they cook in their homes. So, Miss Christie, what are we making today?
We're making meatloaf.
Okay.
I'm going to take the ground beef out of the case and put it in the take a spoonful of long grease.
You know what I like too about her cooking? I was like, look, Mima ain't got no teaspoon, no tablespoon, no measuring cup. She was like, I'm shooting everything from the hip.
I don't have a measuring spoon.
I don't have a measuring spoon.
Gonna do it in my head. Okay. Garlic powder.
I never heard of that seasoning. Well, I think I heard of it. She got seasoning. That shit called Slap Your Mama. But my recipe, if I were to make meatloaf, I'm not a big meatloaf guy, but it's more in line with grandma's recipe.
To enhance the flavor, we put just a tad bit of, so we put the whole pack.
All that shit.
What about you? So we're gonna put about
breadcrumbs, all that.
You cannot make a Worcestershire sauce.
This is important.
That's gonna be new to me, guys. Let's see.
I think everybody put that in their meatloaf.
Okay.
Hers is looking good. Now let's fast forward to the Superman. We're gonna fast forward to the Superman and what she got going on here real quick. So grandma did her thing. Superman wants to pivot and do her thing. So she's using all her seasonings. All right. Do y'all put milk in meatloaf? I don't know. I never heard of milk being in meatloaf. I'm not a proponent of milk in meatloaf. But again, she's on the show cooking with a sweet old lady about a program that provides food boxes to the citizens for fucking free. And she names the show after herself, Cooking with Tiff. Because when they look at that ballot, all they're going to think of is bingo night, Cooking with Tiff. They're going to see Tiffany, and they're going to circle a little bubble by her name. If she makes it to election, she'll probably lose. But it is actually going to be close. Like, you would be shocked at how close it's going to be, because a lot of people complain, but a lot of people don't vote. People bitch and complain about everything. Oh, they're doing this and doing that. But a lot of people talk shit and don't come out and vote. So I think their election is going to be a lot closer than what folks think. This is where she lost me, though. I don't even want to. We're not going to go through the whole thing. But, like, yo, all those green peppers and onions and everything, like, I get it. Some old school people use that in meatloaf. But back when you would grow up and you would want McDonald's and your parents would say, you ain't got no damn McDonald's money. We got hamburgers at home. This is how my mother would make those hamburgers. It would be like this. It would be all sorts of green peppers and onions. That shit was good as hell. And it would be about this damn thick, slapped between two slices of Wonder Bread. That's more like an urban hamburger than a meatloaf, in my opinion. But I think overall, this is actually not a stupid idea. And I'm going to just be honest. Like, that's one of the things that she does right. She's very front facing when it comes to her interactions with the public, and I think that's a big benefit. Seniors, especially baby boomers, are the most gullible ones that fall for free items. I am noticing. Yep, I agree. Free items is what can you do for me right now? Because all the money she's spending, nobody. She spent all of this money allegedly. All of this money is misappropriated. I don't know what the hell she used it for, just on luxuries and travels, or if she pocket. But whatever she spent this money on right now, the average person isn't impacted by that right now. Now it'll hit them 12 months from now. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck? Why are taxes so goddamn high? Or why did my nephew get laid off from his fucking job?" It's gonna hit them eventually, but businesses seeing it first, people getting laid off seeing it first. But the people who get those programs are going to be funded because it's a small expense compared to what was being spent on all these whack ass trips. But I do agree, the older people are more susceptible and more gullible. I remember when my great grandmother was like 104, and this is real story, real story. My great grandmother was 104, and the actual state that she lives in, they sent somebody to her house. They sent somebody to her house to try to get her to sign paperwork to essentially sign her property over. The only reason she didn't do it because my grandmother, old school, she 104, and like some random white lady knocked on her door, and she was like, "Who are you and why are you here?" She was questioning it because it's odd. They know a random white person probably haven't come knocked on her door in like 40 years. And so after she didn't fall for the finesse, but what they ended up doing, they did the exact same thing, but this time they sent the older black person down there to do it. And she ended up signing, and it was a whole deal where like we had to go to court and litigation and fight so we can get the rights to her home back. But it was a finesse, and that was done by a fucking government entity. So, people are susceptible, and especially if it's somebody who look like you. Like most people like people who look like them, who they can relate to. Like, oh, I've been here 40 years and she grew up here, and they just have that little camaraderie. You know what I mean? And so it's a viable point. Henyard cronies, Mr. Moore said they tried to use the Township card, but it was cut off yesterday. She had to go buy her slap your mama seasoning with her own funds. The trustees did something so Tiffany can't splurge like she usually does. I agree, and I think they did the right thing. They got to do their job to try to protect the people in their town, so they did the right thing. You try to give her the benefit of the doubt, like, hey, I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for her. All I'm saying is if we took out all the illegal stuff and all her forward-facing activities were legitimate, and we took out all the illegal stuff, most people would agree that that's dope shit. Let's just be honest. Most people would agree that's just dope shit. But when you got like this much fuck shit going on, then you got this much dope shit going on, the average informed person gonna be like, cut the BS out. But if you're uninformed and you just like what you see, and a person who can relate to you, who look like you from the same neighborhood as you, you're gonna fall for the old banana up the tailpipe. Yeah, he stayed giving her the benefit of the doubt. Oh man, like yeah, terrible. I can't. Hey, everybody got a broke clock is right twice a day. Y'all never heard that saying? A broke clock is right twice a day. That's hilarious. So she stole the food boxes from B, a vendor who was trying to open a fresh food store for a resident, but blocked the vendor from. Oh man, like yo, damn, I'm trying to give you some credit, but like damn, y'all like. See, I appreciate y'all because y'all more in depth in this story more in depth in this story than I am. So I do need all of these nuances so I can have the full picture. Again, I would vote for her, but still, I okay. Now that you say that, I can see that being a true and accurate statement because I had this conversation with shout out to the Pocket Watcher, my guy JT, but me and him had this conversation on the live. And we were talking about essentially her strong arming small businesses. Like, yo, you're going to donate to the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation and if not, we aren't going to approve your license. So what you say is actually consistent with what we've seen in articles. So that's dope. I mean, that you pointed it out, not that she's strong arming motherfuckers. that's wild. She's like, yo, y'all go get these food boxes. But again, hey, this is the point. The people who getting the free shit don't care how they got it. That's the people who getting the free shit, the people who getting the food box and they in there making their thick ass burgers with peppers and onions and slap your mama seasoning. They don't care a damn about how they got it. It's the old what is his name? I was about to say it's the old not El Chapo. Oh my God, why did I say El Chapo? Not the Sinaloa cartel, the Medellin cartel boss, but he did the thing. He was fucking elected to politics. The boss of the Medellin cartel, Pablo Escobar, had a political fucking seat because he did this exact same thing. This is just a common thing used by dictators. You make money and get resources and do things the wrong way, but you give to a small group of people and you build up this fake ass Robin Hood persona. Like, oh man, like, no, they're fighting the cause and they're giving back to the people, and people buy into that. That's crazy as hell, though. Yeah. How do you say she was cooking something but covered the ingredients? Yeah. They put a list up at the end. They was like, it had all the little slap your mama seasoning and milk and everything. Welfare loaf is what Tiffany is doing. Like, hey, I don't know. Like, I can't speak for you all, but I don't know. Growing up, I had the peanut butter in the white can because hey, times were tough coming up. So it's some people out there. The people who getting this shit, they don't care how they get it. The people who get it, they like, yo, we got it, we needed it. It is what it is. If she finesse somebody else out there, they like, that's not my problem, and that's just how people look at Bubba Burgers. Yeah. At Brown. That's way crazy. Also, she can get credit rather than working with that woman. She takes down anyone who is a threat. I donated to that woman's GoFundMe. Oh, that was good. That was nice of you. Because it's about power. They want to compartmentalize power. She's a good scammer. I don't even think she's a good scammer. I actually think she's terrible at it. I think she's a terrible scammer, but she's a good bullshitter. Like, she's scamming, but I think there's a difference. I don't think she's a good scammer, but she's good at bullshitting. She's good at making some talking points that an uninformed person would be like, you know what? Yeah, Tiffany bought those seasonings. That's the Tampa seasoning. That's funny, yeah. Or why their reputation is being ruined and no business will come there, and it will be difficult to sell their homes. People have to see beyond right in front of them. That's true, but most people don't. Most people don't see. It's like playing chess. Like most people, if you're playing chess, they probably take it thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead. But a chess master, I think, thinks 16 moves ahead or something like that. But most people, literally, most people in whatever their economic situation is, it's instant. It's how can I survive this week, or how can I survive these next 2 weeks until I get my next paycheck? Or how can I survive this next month until I get my next government check? I agree with the programs going to have to be cut, with the layoffs, with the taxes going up, with businesses being strong-armed and not wanting to come to the town. Yeah, if you bought a home there, you're probably going to be fucked. Your home going to be undervalued as hell. The sad part is that her spending is going to fall on the next person in the office, with taxes going up, trying to clean up her mess, which is going to make people not like the next person in office. Yep. You're exactly right, because any conduct that a politician do, it has like a 2-year lagging effect. So, what she's doing right now is really going to hit them maybe at the end of 2025 going into 2026. That's when they really going to feel that shit. Start feeling it. A day late and a dollar short, as always. It's like drug dealers giving out turkey. You're pumping drugs that will kill generations to come, but you want to line up those turkeys. That's what happened here. Exactly. It's the Nina. Is the person she dressed like Nino Brown? It's the Nino Brown thing. They passing out turkeys in the hood and destroying it simultaneously. But people like, yo, I got my turkey. You got your turkey. Nino giving out turkeys. And it is all smoke and mirrors. But, we got to see if the people are going to figure it out when we get to the polls. That's why that old lady, Trusty Everett Gray, votes with her. Oh, okay. That's why that old lady, Trusty Everett Gray, votes with her on everything. That's terrible. Democrat game. Hey, is a lot of gamesmanship and finessing going on all sides. That's just the name of politics, man. They promise shit, don't do shit. Promise shit, don't do shit. Snake oil salesman. When I need you, I'm going to do something that you can visibly see, even though it may not be in your best interest, what I'm really doing over here. But it's like a musician. I pull a rabbit out of a hat because I want you to look over here at this hand. I don't want you to look at this hand and see what I'm doing over here. Over here, I'm pulling all sorts of shenanigans to make you believe that I'm doing something that I'm not doing. That's just kind of how the game is played. Hopefully, I don't know. I definitely think it'll be an indictment before the next election roll around. I'm guessing sometime in November. That would be my guess. But I'm gonna do a video and we're gonna do a giveaway on who can get the closest to Tiffany Henyard's future indictment date. Trustee Gray Everett was not named in the federal subpoenas. Trustees Carlisle and Jones were. Guess who decided in May to do the right thing? Yeah, because it was funny because I said in that whistleblower video, I was confused because you can't classify yourself as a whistleblower unless you file a whistleblower lawsuit. Then maybe you get the benefit of the doubt. And somebody was like, "Oh," in the comments said she didn't classify herself as that. The news called her that. But then I looked it up, and it was an actual quote where she was like, "No, I'm a whistleblower." And I was like, "Nah, probably not a whistleblower. Probably more of an informant." But that's just, kind of what it is. Well, that's it for this video. I mean, it's an absolute shit show in Dalton. And I'll be honest, I really feel sorry for those people. Because, like, you really got two groups of people. Well, probably three groups of people. And all of them are kind of fucked. You got one group of people who like, yo, we know what's going on and this shit has got to stop. But we really can't do anything about it until either an indictment comes and you get arrested or an election happens and you're no longer in office, which is terrible. The alternative, the other group of people is they just don't give a shit. They're like, whatever, it is what it is. I'm not worried about it. But the third group of people are people who actually probably think she like the senior citizen population there. They probably think that she's doing a lot of good in community. And despite they won't believe what their own eyes or ears are telling them. Like, the sky is blue. Nah, the sky not blue, bruh. I think it's red. Like, even though the sky technically isn't blue, but that's a whole nother story. That's an analogy that we're going to use to try to get this point across. But yeah, I don't know. It's fucked up because the 4 years in office is probably going to take 8 to 10 years to actually rectify and get the city back on track from a budgetary standpoint. Yeah. Where's her mama? No family members giving her common sense. I don't know. Like, she strikes me as the type of person who, like, yo, if I got a little bit of power and I can run the bag up, I'm gonna run the bag up and for my family as well. I don't know, but that's a good question. Good question. Yep, I missed that one. Yep. But yo, that's it for this video. The big takeaways are: don't fuck with Wells Fargo. Don't fuck with Wells Fargo. Make sure you actually check on your coworkers. Make sure nobody dead in a cubicle, because that's fucked up. If you're on child support, try your best to pay that shit. And if you're smart enough to hack a government system, go out and get a goddamn programming job or do something fucking productive. That's just ridiculous. And the big takeaway from Tiffany Henyard is, it's an absolute fucking shit show. But I think it's only a matter of time until that indictment comes. Yo, I appreciate everybody in the chat, everybody who interacted. Let me get this last comment. Yeah, I agree. Both of them are sad, but Democrats are always giving away something that's nothing. Yeah, Democrats are the worst at paying politics. Democrats are like Democrats are like a bad sports franchise. No matter what they do, they seem like they just gonna fuck it up for some reason. I was just like I should be a political strategist. This is how y'all let me know what y'all think about this idea. I thought this was a good idea, right? I said if you wanted to, because I'm kind of confused at the arguments that like Democrats are making, like we're gonna fight for abortion, and I feel like I think that's I don't know how you can fight for it unless you're gonna try to codify it, and y'all probably not gonna have the seats to do it. But like this would be a smart strategic move for either party, whichever is the first. Can the village of Dalton survive? Yeah, but it's gonna take them 10 years to dig out of this hole, at least 8 to dig out of this hole. It's easy to get into trouble, it's easy to get into debt, but it's hard to get out of it. So literally, if you ever been in debt, just think about it. You'd be like, man, I can run up that credit card in a matter of 6 months, but paying that shit off will take you 3 years. That's just kind of how it works, and it doesn't change for a municipality. What's going on? What's going on? Appreciate you tuning in just on the backside. But we were talking, I don't want to dive too late into politics because I just think all the candidates suck, but that's neither here nor there. But this would be a good political strategy, all right? I'm generally not a proponent of student loan forgiveness. I mean, generally, like, there's better things we can use tax dollars on. But generally, if I were a Democrat, this is what I would do. If I were a Democrat, I would say, you know what? If I was Joe Biden or President Harris, I would probably do it if I was Vice President Harris, considering she's in office. I would stand in front of a podium and say, hey, we are going to propose a bill in the Senate, since the Democrats presumably have control of the Senate. We're going to propose a bill in the Senate to forgive $20,000 of federal student loans. And I would have the White House propose that bill to the Senate. And I would go down to the Senate and be like, y'all better pass this shit. I would go to all the troublemakers. If I were a Democrat, all the troublemaker Democrats who like to be on the fence, and I put some political pressure on them and make them pass that shit. Then when that bill gets passed in the Senate, it's going to go to the House where the Republicans have control. And the Republicans can do one or two things, but both would be a win. If they pass it, great. You'd be like, look, I got bipartisan legislation to do student loan forgiveness that'll affect millions of people, right? Even though I'm generally, there's other things we could do with taxpayers. But if they pass it, great. They can say I work bipartisan and I got both sides to agree on this. But we know that shit would never happen. The White House will propose it to the Senate. The Senate used it. They got leverage there, pass it in the Senate. That bill will go to the House, and it's going to be dead on arrival. Republicans aren't going to vote for that shit. But now, if they pass it, you get a win. If they don't pass it, you could at least stand up and say, hey, I tried to pass a bill to get student loan forgiveness, but they blocked it. They the ones who tried to stop it. I put the bill on the table. But the exact same thing would work on the opposite side. If I were the majority leader in the House and I was a Republican, I would be like, hey, let's propose a bill for student loan forgiveness for $20,000 for everybody. And they'd be like, why the fuck you want to do that? Just do it. I would do it, and I would be like, everybody who's a Republican sign off and pass that bill in the House. And when that bill went to the Senate, if the Senate passed it, the Republicans say, we led the way. We proposed this in the House, and the Senate agreed to it. If the Senate doesn't agree to it, the Republicans will be able to say, you see, we tried to give y'all student loan forgiveness. They've been talking all this student loan forgiveness shit, but they blocked it. Like, you got to play those type of strategic games to be able to put the blame on the other side. And like, nobody really making a stance, in my personal opinion. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Congress is corrupt. most politicians are corrupt. Congress is especially corrupt because they could do insider trading. That's why you see all these local politicians like Tiffany Henyard and Trayon White in DC, where I'm from, taking bribes and misappropriating money, because at that lower state level of government, you can finesse a bag, but not as large of a bag, and do it legally like you can in the federal government. So that's kind of how it works out. Yeah. I'm voting AKA instead of KKK. That's cool. My cousin recently had her student loan forgiven by President Biden. That's dope. Yeah. Some of those programs still work. Yeah. It seems like the Dems are trying to please immigrants more than anything instead of helping citizens. Seems like immigrants are gathering more benefits than us. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I just saw a video about Chicago's $1 billion budget, and like 3/4 of it were due to expenses related to the migrant crisis that they're dealing with. It's just a lot of shit on the table, a lot of shit to think about when you're out there casting your vote. Vote for what's in your best interest. I don't care, how you vote. That's up to you. I don't really give a shit. But votes for what is ever in your best interest. That's what I tell everybody. It's your vote. If you're gonna cast it, try to get fucking something out of it. That just don't vote it away. Even though you're gonna get promised something and it probably won't happen anyway. But I think the biggest takeaway is, vote your interest and be informed. Be careful of the media. Because if you watch one news, they'll tell you story A. You watch another news outlet, they'll tell you story C. And the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, which we probably won't find out for 10 years from now. Yep. From the pulpits to the White House, there is corruption. Yeah, I agree. I was just having this conversation. We talk about money laundering. And I said, man, the best way to launder money is through a church. All that cash that flows through a church is a nonprofit. Like it's so much finessing going on out in the street. That's why I always do the scam videos and videos like this. Because, it's one thing to go out there and earn money, but the last thing you want to do is get finessed out of it and get played out of it. Yo, that's it for this video. I appreciate everybody in the comments. Y'all have a good night. Take care. Enjoy y'all long weekend. If y'all cooking, barbecuing, or doing anything like that, hey, shout out to Cooking with Tiff is a good meatloaf recipe. If y'all want to be some hood rat meatloaf, y'all hilarious. You see, I'm trying to catch all these constantly. If Township fired their law firm and stopped paying Democratic Party of Illinois $15,000 a month, would the Attorney General do his job? I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak on it because politics is wild, and politics in Illinois is really wild. So I don't know. I'm confused as to why the Attorney General didn't initiate some type of cause of action anyway. Just like the Dalton has a campaign saying clean house 2025, Congress needs it. I agree with that. Most politicians are crooks, liars. I vote for who will best serve me and my community. I agree with that. And local elections are important. I will tell you, this is the last voting thing I'm gonna say, but I do see a lot of people who vote in the national election but won't vote in their local election. And like, if anything, you would probably want to do the alternate. I read everything, bro. I read everything. I read the Bible. I read the Quran. I read everything, bro. I read about ancient history. I've been on Kamala Harris' webpage. I don't know if she even got her policy up there. She didn't at the last time I went, maybe a couple of days ago. She may have put it out now, whatever her policy is, because she did the interview today. So I haven't looked. I've went on Trump's page and I saw Agenda 47, I think it is. Like, I look at everything because I want all the information. I'm not just going to listen to what one person say. I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to read everything so I can make an informed decision. I don't care what decision the person make, but as long as it's an informed decision. So I read everything. Even if I don't agree with it, I read it. Like, yo, I watch Fox News. I don't agree with a majority of the shit that they say, but I watch it. I need to know what the alternate argument is. I need to know what's going on that side. I ain't gonna say I disagree with Fox News on mostly everything. Yeah, it's probably 70%, 80%. But I typically generally fall somewhere in the middle. I don't go too far this way or too far that way. I'm normally a person who falls in the middle. But I think it's best to stay informed and make an informed decision. They don't vote in local elections. This is how she's going to win right here. I appreciate that. I appreciate that comment. Oh, I forgot Tiffany is connected with the top politician in Illinois. I think Hannibal did a video on that, or maybe it was another content creator. If you plug them with the power, I don't think the top politician in Illinois could stop a federal indictment. Though. That'd be fucking crazy. I don't think that's possible. But hey, Paul, that's a great point. And that's why it's actually possible if she makes it to election, she can win. 87% of registered voters in Thornton Township don't vote in local elections. But you know who vote? All them old ass people getting those the hamburger helper, all them old ass people going to bingo night and sending their grandsons and grandchildren down to the book bag drive and to ride around in the go-kart and to stand with the mayor. So she's actually taking the best approach possible that's going to put her in the position to, like, if she gets to election, it's going to be fucking close. It's not going to be like, oh, Tiffany Henyard lost by 50 points, like 50 percentage points. Nah, it's going to be like a 3 to 5 point swing. I would be shocked if she loses or wins in the landslide. Either way, I think it'll be something close because people aren't voting. The people who vote, those the people she's stringing. The people who vote habitually are the people that she's working her finesse on. And that's not stupid. I mean, it is what it is. That's not stupid. Yeah. Yo, all right, I'm out. I appreciate y'all. Y'all take care. Have a good long weekend. Barbecue, grill. Do what you got to do. Enjoy your family. And y'all be safe. Peace.